There's a big subway underground, right, on Bloor Street, right? And why aren't there more big towers on that?
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about.
You're going to make a lot of people mad. You put towers, you create shadows on their backyards or whatever. You know. Yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about.
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Broadview Table Talks. Today we are going to be talking about a serious issue. It's going to be the housing crisis and what people can do to fix it, what the government can do to fix it, or the authorities. So today is Monday. By Wednesday, 2 days from now, by the time this is released, the Bank of Canada would have released their new meeting policy. I personally think that they're going to increase rates by a quarter point. We'll see what actually happens. They may or may not do it. They're getting a lot of social and political pressure to increase rates. So we'll see what happens. So I think interest rates will naturally increase. And you've already seen it in the crypto market and the stock market. Things have dropped like crazy. And I think it's going to be a natural progression of the interest rates increasing that will calm the real estate market a little bit. But I don't think it'll kill it, bring it back normal. So what can we do?
I know you guys are going to have your ideas on these regulations, but mine was more down, bare bones. It's supply and demand. After all, that's what real estate is after. I mean, my favorite example is just talking about Danforth. It's been an ongoing problem with them forever now. So basically, it's down to the zoning bylaws. We can't create anything. We're like, let the developers build there. You walk up and you see single family homes, and they can't build anything, townhomes, mid-rises, huge towers, right?
So zoning, yeah.
So Danforth is a big planning mistake, I guess, based on the rules. You know, the problem with Canada is that everybody has all their opinions. They all have the equal rights. You know, which kind of compared to like a one-party government where they can say like, I'm doing this all of a sudden, and all of a sudden it's happening. You know what I mean? Yeah. So with Danforth, the problem is NIMBYism. Right, we have a great transit not world class. It's kind of crappy, but there's a big subway underground, right, on Bloor Street, right? And why aren't there more big towers on that?
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about.
You're going to make a lot of people mad. You put towers, you create shadows on their backyards or whatever. You know. Yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about. We need to intensify these areas because you go to somewhere like Coxwell Station and you just see a bunch of single homes. That's it, right? There's nothing else there. And how are we supposed to feed the supply if they're not building anything there, or if they can't build anything there?
Right. Yeah. So what Toronto's trying to do is the garden suite thing, which is great, a garden suite proposal, because we know we have the green belt, which is up north, and is necessary to have that to protect our environment and our farming, our food supply, and all that, and just to prevent urban sprawl, which you can argue either way, but it's here and it's not going to change anytime soon. Then you have the downtown corridors, which allow all the tall towers, right? It kind of goes up from the tall tower all the way out to the neighborhoods like that, right? So this part, called the yellow belt, which is all the residential neighborhoods below the green belt, but not in the city, that allow tall towers. Those don't allow tall towers. Yeah. And why is that? Because of NIMBYism, right? The neighbors you don't want a big tall tower in your backyard. It creates all these problems with density, with water, plumbing, sewage, all that stuff, schools, right? There's not enough supply to meet that demand, or all of a sudden this amount of housing. So the garden suites might be an interesting way to do that. That's going to be voted on next month, I believe, and it should take another month to ratify. So as soon as March, we'll be able to see rules about creating a secondary suite in your backyard, which is kind of cool. So for those of you who don't know what a garden suite is, it's kind of like a coach house in the back where you have to have a certain width and laneway and also close to the fire hydrants and all that stuff, so emergency services can get in and do their thing, like fire and police and ambulance. But it creates secondary housing on your property, which is kind of cool. So you can choose to either rent it out, you can choose to have your in-laws stay there, you can have potentially even your kids stay there, kids stay there, or you take that house and the kids take the main house, and all of a sudden you create more supply, or but you can't sell it. That's the only thing.
They mentioned the inclusionary zoning, right? Where
inclusionary zoning is another policy, yeah.
Like 5 to 10% of the builders, they have to have affordable housing, like property, I guess, housing, right, for the people before they to build more, right? That's how it works.
Correct. So with inclusionary zoning, and I think Amsterdam has this policy already in place, but there's some parts of the world where any new zoning applications that get put in has to have a portion of it to be affordable. So basically the developers, the theory is that the developers, the landowners, and also the end user purchasers are the ones chipping in to create affordable housing to keep our city sustainable. I'm all for it, to be honest, because we need people that, like, it's not for low income people, it's more for people, that's the everyday people that can't afford the skyrocketing prices of homes. Toronto.
Yeah.
Homes.
Yeah, every millennial out there.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? I love our millennials. You know, they're amazing. They pretty much run our city.
Yeah.
So
It's running the video too.
That's right. So with inclusionary zoning policies, they're only it's for new development applications is pretty much as quick as like fall. Like this year, it's already in place, right? It's just they're finalizing everything. So any new ones that get pushed through, it's a process to get that through. Like it takes several months to several years to get all the development applications ready. Anything in transit corridors, I think it's like 100 units and above in close to subway stations. Those would be forced to have inclusionary zoning, which means you have to build 5 to 10% as affordable housing, whichever way the city determines what affordable housing means. And it's going to scale up for the next 10 years up to 30%, as much as 30%.
Cool.
So I think that's a great way to make it affordable. However, in 10 years, they only expect to have 40,000 units, which probably isn't going to make an impact on the 150,000 or so people coming into Toronto every single year. And the shortage that we have. I think there's a stat saying that we're short 20,000 homes a year, or something like that, 20, 25,000, 30,000 homes a year in Toronto. So where are those going to come from?
We talked about co-ownership as well. Get together with somebody that would help get into a situation, maybe temporarily until you save your money and be able to get out and do your own thing.
Ideally, in an ideal situation, an ideal world, all the empty nesters living, like our parents' generation maybe, right? Living in a single family detached home, 2-story, 3-4 bedrooms that only use 1 bedroom, they should move into condos. And then the new families that are, need places, whatever, should move into those.
Yeah.
And if they can't afford it, maybe you're right, co-ownership. One person takes the top floor, the other person takes the middle floor, whatever, right? I think that's an ideal way to do it. Yeah. Or maybe a co-ownership meaning your spouse, the partner that you have your life partner with. Maybe you split your funds and you buy something together. That's great too. That's another way to kind of keep it affordable in a sense. Or even a business partner, an investor, right? So say you're currently renting right now, and then you buy it with a business partner, you pull your funds in, and you rent that out to create more housing stock. That's a great way to do it too. So there needs to be some sort of way to unlock that housing inventory. Ultimately, it comes down to supply and demand. They have to, either you tax demand and you bring everything down, which hasn't been working. It hasn't been working with the non-resident tax, with the vacant home taxes, with the land transfer taxes, all that stuff. Like all the new taxes they're introducing, it's not changing anything. And the other way to do it is to create more supply, but unfortunately you can only do so much for supply. There's only so much skilled workers out there, there's only so many trades, there's only so much material, logistically, and even like things like creating, again, sewers and police and infrastructure, yeah. Schools, all that stuff, right? Yeah. There's only so much they can create at a time, so.
Yeah, density can be an issue.
It is an issue.
Yeah, for sure.
So it has to be a combination of all of it, like ultimately. With the increases of interest rates, that may kind of cool the housing market anyway. We'll see what happens in the coming months. Again, this is Monday. I bet you by Wednesday they're going to increase by 1/4 point, which is probably going to do nothing to the housing market. Yeah. But over time, over the next, they raise it by 2%, then that could be an issue for the housing prices. So if you're trying to get in the market, of course, you can always give us a shout. If you want to talk more about this stuff, we'd love to talk. Add it up.